call Rohit also into the meeting. He's not there in the meeting. Every work has got to pass through hundreds of difficulties before succeeding. Those that persevere will see light sooner or later. With this quote of Swami Vivekananda, I warmly welcome the chairperson, Dr. Anaga Kamble, and all our energetic participants. Now, I would like to introduce the chairperson of today's parallel technical session 2, Dr. Anaga Kamble. Dr. Anaga Kamble is an assistant professor, Department of History, University of Mumbai. She has a teaching experience of around 14 years. Her areas of specialization are diaspora studies and history of the marginalized. She also has 2 books to her credit, and she has also participated in several national and international conferences. Before I hand over the session to Dr. Anaga Kamble, I would just like to give some instructions. Each participants will be given 5 minutes. So around 4 minutes, I'll be giving a warning so that you can conclude your presentation within 1 minute. So now I would like to call upon Dr. Anaga Kamble for our opening remarks. Over to you, Dr. Anaga Kamble.
Good evening. And at the outset, I'm thankful to the entire team, the organizing team, for inviting me, and congratulate you for this wonderful conference that you are hosting this evening on a very, very important topic. Indeed, discussing about youth development, youth activism is indeed a very important issue, and I'm sure I'm looking forward to the very interesting papers that are going to be read in this session. So I'm sure we'll have some sort of deliberation towards the end if we have time, and I will have my concluding remarks at that time. So over to you, Anuja, for the calling upon the first paper presenter, please.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to call upon Preeti Rai from Computer Science, VK Krishna Menon College, Maharashtra. Preeti Rai, are you there in the meeting? Preeti Rai?
Yes, ma'am, I'm there.
Yeah, okay. So she'll be presenting on youth in global and civic action. Over to you, Preeti. Preeti, kindly unmute yourself.
Yes. Sorry for the delay. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, Preeti.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. So good evening to the dignitaries present over here and all my dear friends. So is my PPT visible to everyone?
No, Preeti, we are not.
Hold on, ma'am, hold on. I think it's some technical issue.
The host has disabled participant screen sharing, I think.
Yes.
Now you can try.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, Preeti. If participants can switch on their videos, it would be great.
Ma'am, actually we are using phone, so it doesn't allow us to
no problem.
present and to on camera on same time.
Yeah, no problem, Preeti, no problem.
Okay, so once again, good evening to all of you. Hope everyone is doing well in this pandemic. So let's start with the presentation. My topic is youth in global and civic action, means transforming the youth. So my introduction, myself Preeti Jitendra Rai I'm student of TYBAC Computer Science from VK Krishna Menon College, that is in Bhandup, Maharashtra. Next, introduction to the main paper. So before moving ahead, today it's a birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. So everyone knows who was Swami Vivekananda. He was born on 12th January 1863 in Kolkata, West Bengal. Earlier, he was known as Narendranath Dutt, later Swami Vivekananda. So Swamiji was born in Kolkata, West Bengal. Everyone knows this is the basic information. Earlier, his name was Narendranath Dutt. Even everyone knows this. Later, he came to known. He was renowned on the name of Swami Vivekananda. He died on 4th July 1902. Lived for 39 years. Swamiji just lived for 39 years, but the 39 years was the years, means a particular day of his life was the inspiration for everyone. Swamiji lived for 39 years, but his 14 years of life were dedicated to the public, to the needy who were always in need of help. He always dedicated his life to them. Now, inspiration to young minds. His life is like a beacon light to the young minds. Means his life was like a light which is showing a path. Means you all have seen beacon light, which is in middle of the sea, that helps the ships to shore in the night time, right? His life was like also a beacon light to the young minds. Swamiji lived short span of life, which is just 39 years, in which 14 years of his life was dedicated to the needy people. As I mentioned, his life was short span, but the 39 years were a single day of his life was inspirational day for the others. He always used to say, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Means you have to arise, you have to awake, and you don't have to stop till the goal you reached, till the mindset you have made that you want to achieve this goal. Till then you don't have to stop. His evergreen mantra for the youth was, until you don't believe on yourself, you cannot believe on God. Means the evergreen mantra for youth. He always used to say the young minds that first of all, believing on others, believing on any God, just try to believe on yourself. If you are believing on yourself, no power in the universe exists that can stop you to attain something. So he always used to say the young minds that if you want to achieve, if you want to become a successful personality in your life, you should start believing on yourself. He always used to motivate young minds with his effective words. He was a man who built a respect for Indians in religious parliament in Chicago, USA. That is the historic moment which any of the Indian could like forget. Means every Indian knows that the respect for the India from Western world was bought by Swami Vivekananda. He addressed that religious parliament with the words starting from sisters and brothers of America. For this, he received a standing ovation in whole parliament. So means he was a young man when he addressed the Chicago parliament. He was very young by the age, but when he started that sisters and brothers of America, everyone started with the same. Means normally everyone has started with any salutation, but when Vivekananda's voice reached to the every years of parliament, people started clapping for him. They started giving a standing ovation, and this continued for the 2 to 3 minutes. This was the power of his words. Next, his words were much inspiring that they made a great impact on the people of that parliament. Yes, his words were such like that people can't stop themselves by clapping. Even today, we are experiencing some impact in the whole world. Means even today, if we just name that the Chicago Religious Parliament, everyone starts taking the name Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was a man who made that religious parliament famous in India, and he brought respect for the Indians from there. Today's youth is quite ambitious, but similarly impatient, which can lead them to the path which will make them to pay heavy price in life. Means today's youth, considering the today's youth, that youth was different. Means we cannot compare ourselves with Swami Vivekanand. He's completely different. He's like a divine personality, but at some extent, if we try to become like him, like 0.01%, even we try, the today's youth is like they are quite ambitious. They want to do everything. They are curious to explore new things from world, but at the same time they are like impatient. They are not patience to wait. They don't have the patience to wait. They don't have the patience to wait for the result. That is why it is said that they are impatient, and this impatient thing can lead them to the path which will make them heavy price to pay heavy price in life. This impatience at a certain level, it's good, but at a time comes where the person is like they become impatient and they feel like I want the result as early as possible. This all things are like they made them to pay the heavy price. These ignited minds are powerful resources on this earth. If directed properly, they can be future innovators, leaders, builders, creators, etc. Means these ignited minds are the powerful resources as said on the earth. The
Excuse me, Preeti, you have last 1 minute.
Okay, ma'am.
Conclude,
This yeah. So this ignited minds are powerful resources on this earth if directed them properly. Means if these young minds are guided properly, they if the elders of the society, they will try to show them right path. They are the future innovators, the leaders and builders, creators of the future nation. So some examples where you can find the strength of youth: youngsters protesting for Nirbhaya case in Delhi. We have seen that youngsters protesting, youngsters in protest, youngsters in every field. Like we can imagine their strength. If youngsters can protest in Delhi, a capital city of India, against Nirbhaya case, against corruption, against they can protest in Marina Beach, again in Chennai against Jallikattu. All these are the examples where we can find the strength of youth. So it can be said that today's young minds are tomorrow's future leaders. So it is very right to say that if we want our India to be a developed country, we have to make them, means we have to make them to go on correct way, to use correct path for their future. So some of the quotes of Swami Vivekanand, which influence the life of young minds: the greatest religion is to be true to your own nature, have faith in yourself. Strength is life, weakness is death. Talk to yourself once in a day, otherwise you may miss meeting an intelligent person. Yeah, being smart is good, but being over smart is not good. So we are intelligent, think like that, and always try to talk with yourself. If you are talking with yourself, you are the person. Now, conclusion for my paper is that only shouting for transformation and protesting for that is not a way. You have to work hard for it. That's why take risk in your life. If you win, you can lead. If you lose, you will guide. So transformation never comes from by sleeping or by doing any unnecessary things. It needs hard work and iron will. So we'll take pledge today that we will try to work hard and will make our wills iron will, so we can achieve this. So by this, I'm ending my words. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti, for your presentation. I would request all the participants to only speak for 5 minutes, and When I give the warning, please conclude your presentation within 1 minute. Now we'll call upon our next presenter. Is Prashant Srivastava in the meeting? Prashant Srivastava? I guess Prashant is not there in the meeting, so I would move on to the next presenter, that is Vidit Jain from Economics Department, Kyo Rimal College, Delhi University, who will be speaking on sports, social media, and civic charge, mapping trajectories of Marcus Rashford's life. Over to you, Vidit.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, I wanted to share my PPT also.
Yes, you can share your PPT.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is visible.
1 minute, ma'am. Just a second. Just a second. Ma'am, I'm not able to yeah. Now it's completely visible, right?
Can begin.
Yeah. So my name is Vidit Jain. I am from Kirodimal College, Delhi University. I am a student of economics. So my paper is on Marcus Rashford. So the title of my paper is Sports, Social Media, and Civic Change, Mapping Trajectory of Marcus Rashford's Life. So, ma'am, as we know that we are battling with the unprecedented threat COVID-19 has posed before humanity at large, there are heartening stories of youth committed to bringing about positive transformations on the national and global front. The youth today, though facing psychological, physical, and social dilemmas in the wake of COVID crisis, is also exemplary in acting as catalyst of civic change. However, it is interesting to learn somehow how sports celebrities are pushing barriers and shaping conversations on race, gender, and social equality. The paper presents the present paper attempts to probe and explore the dynamics and intersection of sports, social media, and civic change through the magnanimous work done by the leading Manchester United player Marcus Rashford. So I've chosen Marcus Rashford because I'm a Manchester United fan. So I followed his life quite closely, and I can guarantee you the kind of charitable work which he's done has brought about positive change in the UK's in the United Kingdom society. Born in 1997, Rashford was raised by a single mother. So is Marcus Rashford. He was born in 1997. He was raised by a single mother in the most testing circumstances. So his mother, despite working for 14-hour shifts, was not able to procure enough food for their children. Often Rashford and his
Vidit, we are not able to hear you. It seems Vidit is facing some internet issues. Anaka ma'am, should we wait for Vidit or should we?
Yeah, you decide maybe for a minute or so we can see,
Yes,
or
ma'am.
then we can go to the next presenter.
Okay. Because I paused the timer, so we can wait for 1 minute and then we'll move on to the next presenter. If
Sure.
okay, ma'am. Thank you. Preeti, kindly unmute yourself. Ma'am, can we move on with the next speaker because the recording is on? So
I think so. Let's move on to the next
yes,
presenter.
yes, ma'am. Next, we have Aditi Abhay from Computer Science, V.K. Krishna Menon College of Commerce and Science, Maharashtra, who will be speaking on quality education. Over to you, Aditi.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Can I share my screen, ma'am?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. Is it visible, ma'am?
No, Aditi, it is not visible. Aditi, are you sharing your screen?
Ma'am, is it visible now?
Yes, it is visible now.
So my topic for today is quality education. My name is Aditi Abhay Brahmadande from SYCS Computer Science Department and from V.K. Krishna Menon College of Commerce and Science. My objectives of today's topic is what is quality education, impact on quality education, aspect of quality education as youth, and conclusion. So what is quality education? So quality education specially entitles issues such as appropriate, skill development, gender parity, uh, equipments, relevant schools, infrastructures, educational materials and resources, scholarship or teaching force. As we know, education is an essential tool for social and economic growth of our country. The basic education skills like reading and writing increases a person's knowledge up to 100%, acting as a perfect weapon that implements individual to freedom, which helps to poverty and hunger. So the organization includes United Nations, educational, scientific and cultural organizations. Impact of quality education. Education plays a very vital role in our society and also in our life. Obtaining a quality education is the foundation for providing people's lives and sustainably development. Major process has been made towards increased access to education at all the levels and increasing enrollment rates in school, particularly for women and girls. Aspect of quality education as the teachers and teaching methods. As teachers, access to the teaching material needed to uh, satisfy the requirements of the circular. Is the teacher present in the class when he or she is supported to? Then educational content. Does the curriculum also highlight basic skills such as hygiene, nutrition, knowledge about gender equality or other important national and international issues? Learning environment. Is the learning environment healthy, secure, protective, inspiring, and adapted for both girls and boys? Is there an exclusive learning environment also for monitoring monitors and disabilities? School management. Is the school well run? Is the school day well organized? Is the administrator of the school represent transparent so that everyone can see how funding and other organized are developed? Do teachers have clear parameters for how they should teach and treat pupils and colleagues? Sorry. As a youth, sorry, youth represents an important agent in shaping the future of education based on the first-hand experience, space, and opportunities for youth in transforming. Education must be created and sustained at a levels of global level and work around the regional, country, and local level where day to day youth are confronting with the issues of access, relevant, equity, and inclusion in education in different ways where adversary growth, student council, online youth education hubs. Young people today have to capacity their willingness to engage uh, to improve quality education, import and ensure equality in education particularly. Finally, if we are to provide a sustainably solution to education in a rapidly changing world.
Excuse me, Aditi, you have 30 seconds more.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. So conclusion for my topic is improving quality and of technical education improves incoming growth and leads in development. It contributes to the labor productivity and quality of life and higher education system providing a wide range of quality options for studying in a major achievement in today's developing country. From this study, we learn the importance of quality education. It's not only about learning, but also finding education to the higher level. It's not about educating people, but also finding new ways to earn sustainable forms and thinking about choices you can to make today as a youth. So instead of making the changes, we should bring the changes and try to make them successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditi. We have Vidit back. So Vidit, you will be given 3 more minutes to present your paper.
Hello.
Yes, Vidit, you can carry
Ma'am,
on.
2 minutes, ma'am. I'm again having certain internet connection issues. 2 minutes, ma'am. Sorting it
So
out.
do you need time? We can go with the other.
Yeah, we can continue. We can continue. I'm sorting it out.
Yes. So now is Shreya Dash here in the meeting?
Yes, I'm here. Let me share my screen.
Vidit, kindly stop sharing your screen.
Ma'am, my internet, there is a lag. It's not working only. I don't know what has happened. I'll try to join again.
Can we stop sharing your screen?
Yeah, you have to because I'm not able to access it. Like my computer is stopped.
I can't do it from my side, Vidit. It's okay. Now, yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Aditi, sorry, Shreya, you can carry on.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, Shreya.
Good evening, everyone. I am Shreya Das, a student of English Literature at English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad. And it's indeed an honor to participate in this conference where fellow youth stakeholders of the society get a platform to showcase their potentials, thoughts, and vision. The theme on which I researched on is Empowered by Education, Building Mutual Respect, Ideals, and Resilience in Youth. And the topic on which I will be speaking is Education in India and its impact on youth, building resilience through building values. I would like to start with a quote by Swami Vivekananda to commemorate him on his birth anniversary. We need the kind of education by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased, the intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet. Education is the fuel that ignites knowledge and wisdom in humanity and plays an integral role in the upliftment of the society. For a civilized and socialized society, education is the only means. Its goal is to make an individual mature and more refined. Every society gives importance to education because it is considered as a panacea for all evils. It is accepted as the key to solve different problems in life. It also signifies various transformations in life, such as waking up to life and its mysteries, waking up to interdependence of all things, to aid human being in his or her pursuit of wholeness, and harmonious education as well. So moving on to the subtopic, what do different theories and philosophers propagate? As we know, India is a very young country with 70% of people below the age of 35 years. It is this young population which constitutes for India a potential demographic dividend which needs to be properly addressed and harnessed. There are certain basic theories which were, propounded by leading philosophers of the past, and I want to mention them here. Constructivism. It is a theory of learning based on the idea that knowledge is constructed by the knower on mental activity. In other words, our own perceptions and understandings create our knowledge. Constructivism is also often associated with Jean Piaget and Immanuel Kant. Moving on to humanism, the roots of humanism can be found in the thinking of Erasmus, who was known for attacking the religious teaching and thoughts prevalent in his time. To focus on free inquiry and rediscovery of classical roots from Greece and Rome. He believed in the essential goodness of children, that humans have free will, moral conscience, and ability to reason, aesthetic sensibility, and religious instinct. Moving on to connectionism. Connectionism is defined as an approach in the fields of artificial intelligence, cognitive psychology, cognitive science, and philosophy of mind, which models mental or behavioral phenomena. Connectionism represents psychology's first comprehensive theory of learning. It was actually introduced by Herbert Spencer, William James, and his student Edward Thorndike on the very beginning of 20th century.
One more minute.
Yes. Well, just like Western philosopher, we had Indian pioneers in the field of education. Like Swami Vivekananda, Sri Aurobindo, Mahatma Gandhi, and J. Krishnamurti, who left an indelible imprint on their thoughts and the need of education in shaping the youth of the country. Well, we all have now heard of the VUCA world, which is an acronym for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, and that the world demands values such as internal stability and strength, along with different skills that are imparted in schools. And that is why we need to focus on more value-based education, so that education so that education can prepare the children for a challenging world, which is because 21st century promises to be the time of scientific and technological growth. I would like to conclude with that the along with the revolutionary changes made by the humans in modern times, one often finds moral denigration and rapid decline in many time-tested values, leading to various social and natural crises. Education remains the only hope and the only answer to all these challenges. As with all the good that education has brought to the society, there are negatives as well. The overall crisis of values in the society at large has had a negative impact upon the mindset of the youth community as well. The youngsters have fallen in the clasp of eroding values such as lack of punctuality, insincerity, disrespect, and so on. Today's youth are citizens and nation builders of tomorrow, and the values they cherish would affect the nation positively or negatively. It is the value-oriented education that can minimize such problems and bring changes in nature, character, and conduct of youth. Thank you so much for listening to me today.
Thank you, Shreya. Next up, we have Shushma. Shushma is there in the meeting. She'll be speaking on the role of women education in social change.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sushma. I'm doing PhD in education from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, Dwarka, New Delhi. I'm sharing my PPT. Is this visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to present my paper in this platform. So my topic is role of women education in social change. This paper describes the role of education in empowering women and promoting gender equality, the development of female literacy rate in the last 5 decades, and existing barriers, government initiatives for women's education, and some recommendations and suggestions for improvement. In any society, region, or country, the empowerment of women is crucial to social change. Education is a basic human right, and women must be included in it. Every girl or woman, whether rich, poor, young, or any other social class, has the right to education. Educating girls is changing communities, countries, and the world. Therefore, women education has profound effect on social change. Role of women education in development of nation. Education for women is vital to countries' overall growth. A well-educated woman may successfully manage her personal and professional life. A well-educated woman will be more productive and well-paid at work, leading to a developed country as she possesses the skills, knowledge, and self-assurance necessary to be a better mother, employee, and citizen. As Jean Piaget said, the principal goal of education in the schools should be creating men and women who are capable of doing new things, not simply repeating what other generations have done. A nation can grow through the education of women as it enables to change the mindset of society, family, and individuals in a better way. We can see the literacy rate in India, in which we can see the 5 last 5 decades progress. In 1981, it was the female literacy rate was 29.76%, which was very low from than male percentage. But now in 2021, it became 70.3%. Although it is very much far better than previous one, but still we have to make much efforts to bring equal percentage of male and female literacy rate. So we can say that education of women is very much important because it is directly connected to women empowerment, which leads to social transformation. In these some ways, we can say the social transformation, like small families, educated women have fewer children as compared to uneducated or less educated. Educated mothers are more likely than less educated mothers to immunize their children. Women having higher education were less likely to be subjected to physical violence by their partners, and national growth rates rises as family income rises. In poverty reduction, there is a woman role is very much important, as educated women make greater earnings, engage in decisions and that affect them directly, and build better future for themselves and their families. Literacy rate automatically increases, and all around the world, women are underrepresented as voters and political representatives, and it should be increased. Government has taken some initiatives for promoting equality in education, and these are some programs and schemes which has been initiated, like Mahila Samakhya program, Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya scheme, National Program for Education of Girls at elementary level, National Scheme of Incentive to Girls for Secondary Education, Indira Gandhi National Scholarship Scheme, Swami Vivekananda Scholarship for Single Girl Child, Sakshar Bharat, Udan, Pragati, and Beti Bachao Beti Padhao. These are some schemes which is for promoting women education.
Ma'am, you have 1 more minute.
Sorry.
Problem, ma'am.
In this way, these are some recommendations. The attitude of society towards women needs to change. Through seminars, campaigns, and other activities, the government should make the necessary efforts to uplift women and make people aware of their own strength in order to ensure their psychological development and quality criteria such as self-esteem, self-confidence, decision-making ability, and freedom of expression. Necessary programs must be implemented. Also, researchers should step forward and use their works to contribute to the transformation of women. We need to implement more media-based programs aimed at empowering women. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to call upon Shalin King Montero, who will be speaking on lack of cyber awareness, how it is a threat to global health and wellness.
Ma'am, is my screen visible?
No, your screen is not visible.
Wow. Can you see my screen?
No, Shalin, I'm
Hello.
not able to see your screen. Yeah. It's in the process. Now I'm able to see.
Okay, so I'll begin. Good morning, everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shalin Montero. I'm from VK Christian College. The topic of my paper is the global infodemic, a threat to global health and wellness. And I'll begin my topic. So what I'll be doing is I'll be giving you guys an introduction to threat to global health and wellness, how to identify misinformation, what role do we have in stopping the spread of misinformation? A survey that I had conducted on a small scale, and what conclusions can we draw from all these reports?
Not able to hear you properly. I think you're
So
facing some
it had already
issues.
began in 2019. Hello. Hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
One second. Can you just, should I start again because I lost the flow? I'll share my screen differently because I think that's what's causing the problem. Yeah. Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So just give me some time. I'll readjust the screen.
Okay. If you need some time, we can go ahead with another presenter and then you can present it after.
Is my internet stable now?
Stable. It's not stable.
Is my internet
not stable?
Problem in the audio. I can present. Not stable. Okay.
Stable. You'll be presenting after with it. Okay.
Sure, ma'am.
So next
am
up,
I audible?
yes, you're audible. I'll call your name with it.
Okay.
No problem. So now I call upon Narayani Sapkale, and she'll be speaking about the study of understanding the impact of OTT advertisements on youth.
Good evening to one and all present. Is my voice audible?
Yes.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I am Narayani Sapkale from RKT Talreja College, and my topic is to study the impact of OTT advertisements on youth. So in this presentation, I would be starting with introduction, then review of literature, then the methodology that I followed and the objectives of my whole paper, and then the hypothesis, the limitations that I faced, and the analysis of data, and then at last the conclusion. So while speaking about OTT platform, so the first question arises, what is OTT? So OTT in common term is used for gadgets and services that are used to stream videos, ads and other digital content to television, computers, smartphones, tablets, keypads, etc. These devices are known as OTT devices, and OTT and the advertisements popping in between are called as OTT advertisements. So my study is basically what these OTT advertisement impact on one's life. So basically, I would be focusing on these four factors: the impact of OTT advertisement on buying behavior of the youth, the mental health of the youth, the financial health of the youth, and the physical health. And then the review of literature. These are the research papers that I have referred to. First was impact of advertising on buying behavior of youth in Kota city. Is my voice clearly audible? Because there is lot of disturbance in the between, so I am asking.
Yeah, I can
has,
hear you properly.
Is the background voice interrupting in between?
Carry on. No. Can you just switch on your video?
Thanks for understanding. Sorry.
Can you switch on your video? If you can switch on your video.
Yeah, I'll switch on it later because I have to complete it in 5 minutes now, so I have to go really fast.
Okay, go on.
And the second was mass communication and journalism, and it was published in this journal, and the research paper was effects of advertising on youth age, and the study was between 13 to 19 years, and this was by the Department of Mass Communication, And the third was the role of consumer behavior in advertising by Dr. Ahmed Javed Aksari. He is a PhD in economics from Geneva University. And the fourth was from Vidyalankar School of Information Technology. It was published in Vijayanan magazine and it was by Firdos Tata. The methodology that I used in it the methodology was qualitative in nature, and the primary data was random sampling, and I had made Google Forms to conduct the survey, and the Google Forms were circulated among the youth. Most of the population that had participated was undergraduate, postgraduate, and management students, and the sample size were 287 people. The objectives of my paper is to study the impact on buying decision of the youth because of OTT advertisement, the impact of advertisement on financial health of the people, impact of advertisement on mental health of the youth, impact of advertisement on physical health. And the methodology, as I have previously said, it is qualitative in nature, and it consists of young, dynamic, and undergraduate individuals. So these are the four hypotheses, and these are the four contradictory statements to hypothesis. The first, there is no significant effect on the buying behavior, financial health, mental health, and physical health. And the contradictory statements is there is significant advertisement. There is significant impact of advertisement on consumer buying behavior, physical health, mental health, and financial health. The limitations that I faced in it, because it was conducted in COVID-19 period, I couldn't talk face to face to the people and understand their views in it. And the second limitation was it was conducted in very, very short period. So the detailed information cannot be taken out from it. Now, analysis of data. The Google questionnaire that I had circulated among all the individuals, from that the grand total was 287 people, and from arts there were from graduate section, from arts there were 3 people, from 3 people from
Narayani,
female,
excuse
1
me.
people from male. Yes.
You have 30 seconds.
Okay,
Can you
I'll
kindly
wrap up in
conclude
30
your present?
Okay. So these are my hypotheses, and these were the scaling, and I had set these 5 options as the survey, and according to it, the hypothesis was conducted. In the first, the buying behavior, there was no significant impact of OTT advertisement on consumer buying behavior, since the grand total was 28%, and I had used Likert method, in which about 28%, above 51%, if it had come, there was a significant impact on it. The second was there is no significant impact on OTT advertisement on physical health, because the whole grand total came up to 37%. And the third was mental health. All it summed up to 59%, which is more than 51%, which means there is significant impact of OTT advertisement on mental youth.
Excuse me, Narayani.
And
Sorry to interrupt you, but you have to conclude it within.
yes, I will conclude, but I can't leave it in between now. So
You only have 5 minutes. Sorry to say, but you have to conclude it.
okay, I'll conclude. This is the last. No, this is the second last statement. So the significant on the financial health, the all it summed up to be 40%, which is less than 51%. So there is no significant impact of OTT on this. So I would like to conclude that OTT advertisement on youth has both positive and negative effect on the society, encouraging consumers in choosing the products that suits them the best. Advertising is at last in democratic nations allow individuals to learn about wide variety of products and services for various needs. On the other hand, while thinking about negative effects, today from very beginning of our daily routine till late night before going to bed, we cannot run away from OTT advertisements. The advertising industry has grown immensely, leading it to becoming a destructive nature. While making an advertisement, all emotional points are taken into consideration, which eventually leads in attracting more responses from the audience. Buying behavior is impacted on large scale. In spite of all the positivity and negativity of advertising, it is hard to deny its presence. In every individual of the society, we still don't have any substitute for advertising. As far as youth is concerned, it has proved itself to be a new tool in making revolutionary changes in young generation society. Thank you.
Thank you, Narayani. Now we have Akriti Kumari. Akriti Kumari, are you there in the meeting? Akriti? Okay, so we don't have Akriti in the meeting. So I would like to call Vidit again to present his paper. Vidit, you'll be getting 3 minutes to present your paper.
Before I start, let's make sure that all technical issues are done. So I'll ask you before starting. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen again.
Sure.
Is my screen shared?
No, Vidit.
It's not being shown.
Ma'am, I think it will be better if he turns off his camera. He turns off his camera and just presents his screen. Maybe it will work.
So, so I'm not. So my screen is not being.
No,
shown.
we can still see Narayani's screen. Is it same for others?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay.
So
Narayani, can you
she needs to stop sharing.
Can you stop share the screen?
1 second, I'll try to stop share.
There will be an option. Yeah. Thank you. So continue.
Now,
You can continue with
I
it.
start?
Yes, with it you can.
Yeah, 1 minute. Is it visible now?
Yes, with it. It is visible.
Okay, 1 minute. Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, with it. It is.
So, am I audible? Am I visible?
You're audible. You're audible.
So, I'll start in 3, 2, 1. So, moving on from who Marcus Rashford is, there are certain pics which show his childhood. So, one is showing him in a malnourished state. The second pic is with his mom, and the third pic is with his like father figure, Sir Alex Ferguson, who is the Manchester United manager. Now, focusing on Marcus Rashford's charitable work. So, during the COVID-19 pandemic, what happened was there were a lot of children from the lower rungs of society who were largely dependent on the midday meal scheme of the government. However, COVID forced the schools to be shut down, but there lurked an impending doom with the decision of the Britain government to refusing to see to calls to extend free school meals to children from low-income families. It was then when Marcus Rashford rose to the occasion and used Twitter as a medium and compelled Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of UK, to take a U-turn from his original stance. Rashford was able to strike a good deal for the children from lower social economic statuses and with the government, and it included a package of 170 million pounds during the pandemic. So Marcus Rashford has been an ambassador of FareShare, which is a charitable organization, since March 2020, and his support of FareShare has truly been inspiring. Since March 2020, Marcus, in addition to making personal donations, has been at the forefront to raise enough money to enable FareShare to distribute the equivalent of 21 million meals for children and families across UK. He is also the head of the Child Food Poverty Task Force, a group of more than 15 organizations that FareShare is a founding member of. Now, Rashford knows fully well the experiences and hardships of growing up in midst of deprivation and reaching out to secure holistic growth of children, not only in terms of nutrition, but also in terms of well-rounded individuals. He's also founded a book club in Britain, which will help poor Black children to access education. He's also written a book called "You Are a Champion," which is dedicated towards his life and towards his experiences as a star. Now, next, coming
Excuse me,
on to
Vidit, you have 1 more minute.
okay. So, as a Black man raised so this was Rashford's role as an influencer. He is also featured on the curriculum of the British government, studying media studies GCSEs this year, reading about Marcus Rashford's role as an influencer. So moving on from that, he's been also awarded an MBE. These are certain pics showing his charitable work being done with children. Now, his fight against racial discrimination has been particularly important. As a Black man, he's faced a lot of challenges and racism. He was subjected to online racist abuse after his penalty miss on the football field during the Euros 2020 Football Championship finals. So his mural was vandalized in his hometown, but the affection of his community overpowered this hate, and his mural was covered with thousands of messages of support for his great determination in his fight against racism. He's used social media as a potent medium to raise awareness about persistent racism in England. He said that I can take critique of my performance all day long. My penalty was not good enough. It should have gone in, but I will never apologize for who I am and where I come from. And I think that is very important in who Marcus Rashford is. So this is a picture that shows what Marcus Rashford, the vandalized mural, which was covered with a lot of messages of support from his fans, from the entire community, from the entire Black community. So concluding my speech, I would like to say that the way Rashford has used his public profile to reduce the stigma surrounding free school meals and to spread awareness about racial discrimination, it is inspirational and worth emulating. His service to humanity leaves us with hope and optimism even during the dark times, menacing times of COVID-19 pandemic. The world needs more young people who are ready to take the charge and be leading lights for many. To conclude, a quote by Abraham Lincoln resonates with the theme of my paper. And in the end, quote, and in the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your ears. Marcus Rashford has been an inspiration, and that is why I've chosen him to present my paper. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vidit. Shalan, you can continue. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, ma'am. Can I start? Yeah, can I start from the beginning? Please let me know if I'm audible or not. Because I'll turn off my camera so that it's better.
It's better. Kindly switch off. Yes, yes. You can start.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I am Shalan King Montero. The topic of my paper is the Global EK Krishna Menon College. So in this paper, I'm going to be discussing about how the global infodemic is a threat to global health and wellness, how to identify misinformation, role of the youth in stopping the spread of misinformation, the survey that I had conducted, and the conclusion. So it's the year 2022, and we are already, the lockdown that was supposed to last for 14 days has been going on for almost about the past 2 years. We are not yet fully opened up. So it brings to mind that the vaccinations are ready. We have masks, everything is there, the guidelines have been given, yet where are we lacking? Or what may be the cause that we are not able to curb this pandemic soon? A study was conducted by the American Journal globally, where it was found out that during the pandemic, especially from the start of the pandemic till today, there has been a huge surge in misinformation, rumors, and all these other things. So what this has caused is, it has caused people to doubt the ones who lead us in this pandemic. That is our doctors, our authorities. And not only that, it is making us wonder, right? We come across many forms of news. You're bombarded with news every day. So everyone may not be able to realize or verify or able to check the facts that have been presented, which is somewhat leading us away from curbing this pandemic. A study that was conducted, that I had conducted myself. So I had asked the question, do you think the internet is a major source of fake information? And 71% people said yes. So this survey I had conducted in my college. So all the college students had taken part in the survey. And some people said no, and some said maybe. So if the internet is such a huge source of misinformation, this has given rise to the term that was used by WHO known as the infodemic. Infodemic is a much more bigger disaster than the pandemic, we can say, because this has been going on way longer than the pandemic. Misinformation has been existent through and throughout. In fact, the WHO General Ghebreyesus said that public trust in science and evidence is essential for overcoming COVID-19. Therefore, finding solutions to the infodemic is as vital for saving lives from COVID-19 as public health measures, by hand hygiene, and it is also compared to having equitable access to vaccines, treatments, and diagnostics. So, what role do you and I play in stopping the spread of this infodemic? So, we'll go step by step. We have learned to identify false information, do not be a super spreader, report false information, create awareness in your society. So, how to identify false information? The World Health Organization gives us 7 tips to identify false information for ourselves. First one, assess the source. If someone is forwarding a message to you, or if you are coming across something, find out where does this message origin, or what is their source for sending you that message. It's true, our family and friends care about us, so they will immediately forward something that they think is important, but they may also be misinformed. Then go beyond headlines. Always remember that articles and newspaper headlines are often meant so that you will be attracted to them, so they may have controversial points. Third is identify the author. Search the author's name online, see if they're creditable, if they're real or credible. Fourth one, check the date. Whatever content you're viewing, is it up to date? Is it based on new facts and discoveries that have been formed recently, or is it outdated? Then examine the supporting evidence that has been presented to you. Check your biases. When it comes to checking your biases, we may be emotionally drawn to believe in something we already
Excuse
agree
me,
with.
Shalin, you have 1 more
Yes,
minute.
ma'am.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure, ma'am. Okay. So this is something that you can do. And then turn to fact checkers. After this, don't be a super spreader. If you come across an information that is false, make sure that you don't spread it further. Then report this information forward. And finally, when it comes to and final thing that we had discussed was create awareness. So since everyone has a phone, everyone can take part in creating awareness. You can do it through your own social media or your own social media platforms. Then this is the rest of the survey data which I had conducted, and I will directly move on to conclusion. So I'll sum up everything that I had discovered. Misinformation and misguiding and imposters have always been there online. But as the youth of this generation, it is our responsibility to make sure that we identify and help others identify as well. On a global scale, we may not be able to have a very huge impact. Not all of us may be rich enough to support, to empower world hunger or something of that sort. But small steps we can take in these things. Similarly, this misinformation or this infodemic also needs to be curbed, and it is as important to curb this as much as it is important to stop the spread of COVID-19 as well. So more misinformation spreads, more people will start to believe in conspiracy theories, and we need to stop that from happening. And as responsible youth, I believe that each and every one of us can play a part in this. We can all start off by simple steps. Train your parents first, train your relatives. If they forward you something, help them to know which are the reliable sources where they can search from. Help others to find out factual sources. And at the same time, you and I, we need to beat this infodemic together, and we will beat this infodemic together. So thank you very much. That was my presentation and paper.
Thank you so much, Shalin, and all the presenters. So we have come to the end of the parallel technical session 2. I thank every presenter because you guys have done a very good job. And now I would like to call upon our chairperson, Dr. Anagha Kamble, to give her concluding remarks.
Thank you, Anuja. Thank you to each and every paper presenter. And indeed, as we had hoped, it has been a very, very informative and enlightening session. that we had. All of the paper presenters were very good. So at the outset, I congratulate each one of you for taking this effort of making a paper, of presenting it. So each one of you is a winner in that sense of the term. I think some of the very important themes that came out from this session this evening were about how youth need to instill in themselves right values, how we need to, keep on trying hard enough to achieve our goal. Like I recollect from Preeti's presentation, she mentioning about arise, awake, and not to stop till the goal is achieved. Swamiji's quotation with which she, started her entire presentation, and this whole idea about how youth need to essentially believe in themselves. How we need to have more ignited minds, creative thinking, leadership qualities, so many of the very important qualities which we feel that youth need to have. And I think the very important point that each and every presentation was also again trying to drill is the importance of youth, because one of the presenters talked about how 70% of our population is below 35, and that itself is our USP. That is something which is our strength, and it is this strength which we need to cultivate. It is this strength which we need to sharpen. So when you talk about education, and we had, I think, almost three papers which briefly worked around education, on quality education, on how mutual respect ideals can be built, how education can be empowering. We had another paper which talked about how education in particular context of women, and of course female is a very important category within youth itself. And very beautifully the paper presenter brought about the interconnection between education, between women's health, women's thinking, and social change. I think that was very, very brilliantly done by that paper presenter. uh, we also had another paper which talked about how youth can themselves also become inspiration. You can lead by example is something we always say, and that is what we saw in the presentation when we heard about the immense work that Marcus has done, how from he has contributed to the well-being of society, and at the same time proved as a very, very important inspiration for other youth for what they can do to build the society, for nation building. I think these were very, very important themes which were brought out and are absolutely essential when we are talking about youth, especially in today's time when we are using technology. We are in the pandemic, and we had papers which talked about cyber awareness. We had papers which talked about the OTT platform and how it affects consumer behaviors, and obviously the youth is one of the most important category which is consuming the OTT platform. So very interestingly, we could see how technology today has translated as power in the hands of youth. And of course, all of the papers did bring out the caution, did bring out the challenges that we face more and more as we move towards this realm of cyberspace. How even when we talk about education and we talk about youth, we need to talk about value based education. It is not just about memorizing and rote learning, but it is, are we creating responsible individuals? Are we creating individuals who will have a spirit of inquiry, who will want to give back to society? And very importantly, I think, are we instilling in youth the ideas of equality, fraternity, which is the cornerstone of our constitution, which is the cornerstone of human rights around the world? So I think the papers very beautifully cut across all of these themes, and I'm very, very happy to have been part of this session, chairing this session. And I thank Akash Foundation. I thank my teacher, Dr. Akash, for giving me this opportunity, and all the best to each and every presenter. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Anaga Kamble, for such wonderful words. I think our participants are very happy after hearing your concluding remarks, because we had a very diverse kind of a topics. At the same time, every aspects were touched. For example, women, education, cyber infodemic. So all these kind of topics were covered by our presenters. So I think the chair, both of our chair, people who are chair are Dr. Anaga Kamble and ma'am, so Safina ma'am will have a tough time to choose the winners for this presentation, I guess. So I would like to conclude our entire session by the quote by Swami Vivekananda again. Truth can be stated in 1,000 different ways, yet each one can be true. So with this, I would like to end our parallel technical session 2. I would request our presenters to leave the meeting. I would request Ma'am Anaka ma'am to stay back, and I would